number 209, Free and Accepted Masons. My name is Christian Morano, and as the retiring master, it is with supreme honor and pleasure that I welcome you today to our 146th annual installation of officers. It's a time-honored tradition of this fraternity. Great composer Gustav Mahler said, "The tradition is not the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire." Today you will see the men who are diligently working to preserve the fire, the light of masonry, if you will. These men carry the torch that will continue to show our community that morals and values still matter and, in fact, are needed now more than ever. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And the light of masonry here in San Luis Obispo remains bright, my friends, because of the dedicated members of this lodge. I am proud to stand among them and call them brothers. We are privileged today to have a very esteemed installing team, but before they are introduced, I would like to sincerely thank all the brethren and friends who have made the past 12 months a truly memorable year for me and hopefully for the lodge too. I also would like to thank the families of our officers for being here today to show their support. But it will also be appropriate at this time to think about those who could not be here today. A brother, George McGilligan, is currently at home in hospice care. And right now we have him and his family viewing us through a Skype video there in the corner. And also one of our officers, our treasurer, Mike Schatz, couldn't be here today. He recently lost his daughter. So I would, at this time, humbly request a moment of silence for the loss in our Masonic family. Able to stand. Good morning, Pete. Please be seated. Now, to conclude this welcome address, I will now introduce the installing team. Our installing chaplain, the inspector of the 501st Masonic District, the worshipful Ron Smiley. A past master of King David's Lodge, the worshipful Dave Chesbro, will be our master of ceremonies. And our installing officer, past Grand Master of Masons in California and a member of King David's Lodge, the most worshipful Russ Charbonnier. Most worshipful sir, please take control of our ceremony.
First of all, Christian, I will, but before you go running off into the sunset, I want to take a moment to commend you for a job very well done this past year. You've not only continued the great traditions of King David's Lodge, but you managed to advance and accelerate them. And you and your beautiful family are a terrific tribute to our lodge. And for that, I thank you along with the rest of the brethren. And I hope you'll take a few minutes yet this weekend to bask in the knowledge of a job very, very well done. Thank you. Brother Master of Ceremonies, are the officers of this lodge lately chosen present and ready to be installed in their respective offices?
They are without, most worshipful sir, and await your pleasure.
You will then conduct them to the seats prepared for them. aid and blessing of God. Let us therefore reverently unite with our chaplain in an address to the throne of grace.
Great architect and ruler of the universe, we reverently invoke thy blessing at this time. Grant this thine aid in all our present undertaking, that all that we may do shall be done with an eye single to thy service and to the good of Freemasonry. May those who are now about to be invested with the government and conduct of this lodge be endued with wisdom to instruct their brethren in their duties, and may they be continually guided by the unerring counsel which thou hast given in the great book of nature and revelation. May brotherly love, relief, and truth always prevail among the members of this lodge. May they be impressed with the comprehension of their duty to thee, to each other, that this lodge may be a means of lasting good in this community, and to thee we shall ascribe all honor and glory. Amen.
So Lord, the flag of our country will now be presented by Miss Sadie Gordon of the Central Coast Assembly number 92, International Order of Rainbow for Girls.
Most Worshipful Master, I have the pleasure to present the flag of our country.
Kindly join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You will escort the flag to its proper place in the east.
I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to live without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion, to the flag, our standard old glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, that means we have all come together. States of America, individual communities that have united into 50 great states. 50 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for a country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people. For which it stands, one nation, under God, meaning so blessed by God. Indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom and the right of power to live one's own life without fear, without threat or fear of some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle of equality of dealing fairly with others, for all, which means it's as much as your country as it is mine. Red Skelton. Please join with me in singing one verse of
Please rise. very much, Sadie. That was beautiful. Please be seated.
Most worshipful sir, the officers of this lodge lately chosen are present and ready to be installed in their respective offices.
You will then present the brother who's been appointed tither of this lodge.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Gompers, who has been appointed tither of this lodge.
Brother Gompers, you have been appointed tither of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel and implement of your office. As the sword is placed in the hands of the tither to enable him effectually to guard against the approach of talons and eavesdroppers, and suffer none to pass or repass except such as are duly qualified, so should it admonish us to keep a guard over our lips, a guard at our thoughts, a watch over at our lips, and post a sentinel over our actions, thereby preventing the approach of every unworthy thought and deed, and preserving consciences void of offense toward God and man. You will now repair to your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the organist.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you Brother Arstead, who has been appointed organist of this lodge.
Brother Arstead, you have been appointed organist of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel, but not the implement, of your office. The lyre is the jewel of your office, and it is an emblem of music. As such, it should continually remind us that as harmony is essential in the liberal arts and science which it symbolizes, so should harmony continue to be the strength and support of all societies, especially of ours. Let harmony prevail. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the junior steward.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Anaya, who has been appointed junior steward of this lodge.
Brother Anaya, you have been appointed junior steward of this lodge, and I will now instruct you in your duties. In olden times, your province was to superintend and provide for the festivals of the craft, to assist in the collection of dues and subscriptions, to keep an account of the expenses for refreshments, and to see that the tables were properly supplied and every brother suitably provided for. In modern times, however, the provision for actual refreshment has diminished, and your principal functions now will be to prepare candidates for admission and perform those duties which Masonic custom has assigned to you on days of procession. Receive the jewel of your office together with the white rod. You will now repair to your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you'll present the Marshal.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Vezhnevsky, who has been appointed Marshal of this lodge.
Brother Vishnevsky, you have been appointed Marshal of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel and symbol of your office. The baton is an emblem of command and is sufficiently significant of your duties. You will, under the direction of the Master, take charge of all processions of the lodge, and you are enjoined that the proper performance of many of our ceremonies will depend upon the manner in which your duties are discharged. You will now take your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the senior and junior deacons.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brothers Parker and Townsend, who have been appointed senior and junior deacons of this lodge. The certificate vouches for the proficiency of the senior deacon.
Brothers Parker and Townsend, you have been appointed deacons of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewels of your office. Those jewels indicate that it is your province to attend upon the master and wardens and act as their proxies in the active duties of this lodge. It will be your special duty, Brother Senior Deacon, to carry orders from the worshipful master in the east to the senior warden in the west and elsewhere about the lodge as required. Attend to all alarms at the door of the preparation room, receive and conduct candidates, introduce and accommodate visiting brethren. You, Brother Junior Deacon, to carry messages from the senior warden in the west to the junior warden in the south and elsewhere about the lodge as directed. Attend to all alarms at the door and see the lodge duly tiled. Those rods, my brothers, distinctive of your office, will now be entrusted to your care. And now, believing from your past deportment in the lodge that your duties will be discharged with ability and zeal, I dismiss you to your respective places. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the chapel.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Worshipful Moroni, who has been appointed chaplain of this lodge.
You said his name better than he does. Worshipful brother, that holy book which adorns our sacred altar is the great light in masonry, and forever sheds its benignant rays upon every lawful assemblage of free and accepted masons. Teach us from its life-giving precepts. Invoke upon our labors the blessing of that divine being, whose infinite goodness it so fully reveals and unfolds to us. And guide us by its lessons of wisdom and truth, and you will have faithfully fulfilled your important trust. It is your duty to perform those solemn services which we should constantly render to our great Creator, and reverently to allure to brighter worlds and lead the way. And thus by elevating our thoughts, strengthening our virtues, and purifying our minds, prepare us for admission into the society of the blessed in the realms of life and light eternal. It is fitting that an emblem of the sacred volume should be the jewel of your office, and with it you will now be invested. You will now take your proper place. you will present the secretary-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Brown, who has been elected secretary of this lodge.
Brother Brown, you have been elected secretary of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your office. I am persuaded that in your hands, the pens will make an enduring record, not only to your praise, but also to the welfare of this lodge. It is your duty to observe the will and pleasure of the worshipful master, keep a faithful record of all things proper to be written, transmit a copy of the same to the Grand Lodge when required, receive all monies from the brethren, pay the same to the treasurer, and take his receipt therefore. You will now take your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the junior warden-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Sachs, who has been elected junior warden of this lodge. This certificate vouches for his proficiency.
For the secretary, I'm wondering if you could audit this for me. Brother Sachs, you have been elected junior warden of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your station. The plumb, my brother, admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scales of justice in equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hours of refreshment. It is necessary, therefore, that you should practice moderation and discretion in the indulgence of your own inclinations, and that you carefully observe that the means of refreshment are not converted to improper or excessive use. Your regular and punctual attendance is particularly requested, and I have no doubt that you will faithfully execute the duty which you owe to your present appointment. Look well to the south. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the senior warden-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Fisher, who has been elected senior warden of this lodge. He is of good morals, true and trusting, possesses the love and confidence of his brethren. This certificate vouches for his proficiency.
Brother Sachs, Brother Fisher, rather, you have been elected senior warden of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your station. The level, my brother, demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, that we partake of the same nature and share the same hope, and that although distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. For he who is placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard, because a time will come, and the wisest know not how soon, when all distinction, save added goodness, shall cease, and death, the mighty leveler of human greatness, reduce us to the same state. Your regular attendance in our stated meetings is essential. In the absence of the master, you are to govern the lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. I firmly rely on your knowledge of masonry and attachment to the lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. discharge the important duties of master of this lodge.
Most worshipful sir, I take pleasure in presenting to you Worshipful Betancourt, who has been duly elected to serve as master of this lodge.
Is it known that Worshipful Betancourt is well skilled in our ancient craft? Is he zealous in his regard for the interests of our order? And is he duly qualified to discharge his special duties of the master's chair?
It is well known that he is all of this, most worshipful sir. This certificate vouching for his proficiency is evidence that he is well skilled in our ancient craft. I find him to be of good morals, true and trusted, and as he is a lover of the fraternity, I doubt not that he will discharge his duties with fidelity and honor.
Worshipful sir, the brethren of this lodge, reposing confidence in your integrity, in your zealous regard for the interests of Masonry, and in your ability to discharge the duties of the master's chair, have chosen you to occupy that honorable position during the ensuing year. Are you willing to accept this important trust?
I am.
Then, my brethren, I shall most cheerfully proceed to install you in a dignified and honorable position in which your suffrage of your brethren has called you, not doubting that the dignity of the Oriental chair will be well preserved in your keeping, and that the interest and welfare of this lodge may be safely confided to your trust. Before commencing your investiture, however, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duties of the master of the lodge, and which on no account are ever to be neglected or departed from. They are as follows. You agree to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceful citizen, and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently to submit to the decision of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate, according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and customs of the brethren, when convenient, in every case consistent with the constitutions of the order. You agree to avoid private piques and quarrels, and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in your carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You promise to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive to the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You submit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance on the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge should be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance should be given to any irregular lodge, or to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charge of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in, or admitted a member of, any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitors shall be received into your lodge without due examination, and producing proper vouchers of their having been initiated in the regular lodge. These are among the ancient charges and regulations of free and accepted Masons, and to these your assent must be freely given. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations, as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Then, my brother, in consequence of this assurance, and with full confidence in your capacity and zeal, I will now invest you as Master of King David's Lodge, number 209. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will invest him with the jewel of his station. The square, my brother, is an emblem of morality, and as it is the especial badge of the Master's office, it should constantly remind you that not only by precept, but by example, you should promote good morals among the brethren, and thus endeavor to avert the shadow of any shame or reproach against your fraternity. Your former life has given evidence that this jewel will not be an unmeaning symbol in your hands, and I solemnly charge you take good care that its luster not be dimmed through any act of yours. I now present to you the Book of Holy Writings. It is the great light of Masonry, and should ever be the great law of the brotherhood. It will guide you to all truth. It will direct you to eternal happiness, and an attentive regard to the divine precepts it contains will ensure you success in the fulfillment of the duties you are now about to assume. The working tools of the craft will next be presented to you, that as the master workman you may instruct the craftsmen in the various duties and virtues which they have been selected to illustrate. The square teaches us well to regulate our every action and to let our conduct be governed by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station and never to suffer our passions or our prejudices to become the masters of our judgment. The rule directs the undeviating discharge of all our duties, that we should press forward in the straight path of right and truth, without inclining to the one hand or the other, in all our doings having eternity in view. The plum is an emblem of moral rectitude. It teaches us to avoid all dissimulation and to pursue that honest and upright course in life which will tend to our elevation in the higher realms of immortality. There are still other important things which you will receive in charge. This book of constitutions you are expected diligently to search, and from time to time to cause its contents to be read in your lodge, that none may remain ignorant of the precepts it enjoins, or of the ordinances which it promulgates. This book contains the bylaws of your lodge, which it will be your special duty to see carefully and punctually executed. And this is the charter, under the authority of which your lodge is held, and which you are carefully preserved and duly transmitted to your successor in the master's chair. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will conduct the master to his station in these. congratulate you on your ascension to this time-honored seat. The duties incumbent upon you are in your exalted station are fraught with great responsibilities. Remember that the honor, reputation, and usefulness of your lodge will materially depend upon the skill and assiduity with which you manage its concerns, and that the happiness of its members will generally be promoted in proportion to the watchful care with which you cherish the genuine principles of our institution. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature, which rising from the east regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner, it is your province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of masonry, and seriously admonish them never to disgrace it. Charge them to practice out of the lodge those duties which they have been taught in it, and by amiable, discreet, and virtuous conduct to convince mankind of the goodness of this institution, so that when a person is said to be a member of it, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrows, one to whom distress may prefer its suit, one whose hand is guided by justice, and whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the constitutions of masonry, and above all, the Holy Scriptures, which are given as the rule and guide of your faith, you will be enabled to equip yourself with the highest honors here, and lay up a crown of rejoicing which shall continue when time shall be no more. Brother Senior and Junior Warden, you are too well acquainted with the principles of masonry to warrant any distrust that you will be found wanting in the discharge of your respective duties. Suffice it to say that what you have seen praiseworthy in others, you should carefully imitate, and what in them may have appeared defective, you should yourselves avoid. You should be examples of discretion and propriety, for it is only by a due regard for our laws and regulations, as shown in your conduct, that you can expect obedience to them from others. You are assiduously to assist the Master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge to all whom he shall place under your care. In the absence of the Master, you will succeed to higher duties. Your requirements must, therefore, be such as will ensure proper instruction to the craft. From the spirit which you have hitherto evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as will merit the applause of your brethren and the testimony of a good conscience. Brethren of King David's Lodge number 209, such is the nature of our Constitution, that as some must of necessity rule and teach, so must others, of course, learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers who have been chosen to govern your lodge are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of the institution to avoid exceeding the power with which they are entrusted. And you are of too generous disposition to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, to please one another and unite in the grand design of promoting happiness. Finally, my brothers, as this association has been formed and perfected in so much unanimity and concord, so may it long continue. May you long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons. Within your peaceful walls, may your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the annual recurrence of this auspicious solemnity, and may the tenets of our profession be transmitted through this lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Worshipful Master, it now remains for me to present to you the gavel, the emblem of power. In the hands of the Master, it may be made an instrument of great good, or greater evil. With it, the master governs his lodge. The welfare and prosperity of your lodge, in great measure, will depend upon its judicious use. In your hands, I am confident that it will be wielded for the best interests of your brethren. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will now make a proclamation.
By order of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge, Great Exception Masons of the State of California, I now proclaim the officers of King David's Lodge number 209 duly installed.
All the brethren will, under the direction of the Master of Ceremonies, salute the Worshipful Master with the battery of 3 times 3.
Together, brethren.
Worshipful Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your Worshipful Master.
Brethren and friends, thank you sincerely for coming out this afternoon. I have a few comments. I've limited them to little notes on a business card, but fear not, I am also a trained lawyer, so I can make this into quite a lot. At the same time, I'm very attentive to your time, and I think that is an important thing. That's certainly something that I intend to carry into the governance of this lodge, to make sure that the time is used efficiently for the betterment of the brethren and of the community at large. So the first thing that the little note card reminds me to do is to thank sincerely the installing team, and broadly the installing team. All of these members have performed their roles in this lodge before, and I was pleased to ask all of them to reprise those roles. In particular, Past Grand Master Rush Argonia's outstanding job as installing officer, my installing chaplain Rod Smiley, and of course, Worshipful Lady Chesborough, who's done an awesome job as MC previously. Last year's musical pianist was Dr. Mark Walker, did a fantastic job today. And I'm so pleased to have Sadie Warden also did an outstanding. Just stand up back there so we can see you. Thank you, Sadie. So part of what the lodge is going to do in the next year, and of course what we've been doing in prior years as well, is to involve our broader Masonic family. So it's not just the men of the fraternity, there's also the men and women of Eastern Star. There are the young ladies of Rainbows for Girls that we're fortunate to have in this lodge. One of these days we'll be able to restore the DMLA for young men. That's a work in progress currently. But I just want to make sure that it's clear that that's something that we continue to do. I want to remember certainly George McGilligan and his family, who I'm hopeful are watching us even now from Atascadero. They involved that entire concept of the Masonic family. They have Eastern Star, they have the fraternity of the Blue Lodge, and they've got a daughter, George's granddaughter, Gina, who is a member, highly placed actually, in the Grand chapter of Grand Assembly, rather, of the Rainbow for Girls. So I do remember them, and my heart does go out to George, who I was privileged to see with some other brothers yesterday. So I give him the best well wishes at this time, and his family as well. It's customary at this time to recognize all of the officers of the lodge that have just been installed, and to have them introduce members of their families. And so I'm going to do my best to go in reverse order and have you stand as you're called on. Michael, do you have anybody with you today that's part of your family? Just stand up back there so we can at least remember you. Stand up there, Michael. Yeah. Michael Donkers, yes, and you?
Worshipful, not today, but my girlfriend has sent her best, and she's really happy that I would be a part of the lodge in a more active capacity.
Well, please remain standing as well. And so, Brother Cassidy Arstead is our organist.
My family was a little bit too far away to get here, but I'm sure they're here in spirit. So Thank you all for coming.
Absolutely. Please remain standing. And so Brother Junior Stewart, Alex and I.
Just representing myself and you, President.
All right, it's great to have you. And Brother Marshall, Bishop Edson.
No family today, worshipful, just some really great friends, Dr. Walker, Brennan, and
Absolutely. And please remain standing. Notice all the dark hair and young men that you're seeing. This is not part of the tradition, at least in recent years. So we're trying to build a new fraternity here. These are the young bucks. And the new super well. So moving up the chain, where am I next? Junior Deacon, I think. So the hair is getting a little soft.
I'll break that form. But keeping with every form, I'm alone today. My wife's homesick, and she's attended these a few times, and she's always enjoyed it. So thank you, Worshipful, for even asking me to fill the position. It's great.
Absolutely, and actually, Mark, for those of you that read the Tribune, this is the young man who's teaching at school in Laguna, was honored recently, where he kind of broke out the history and brought in the Syrian refugees, and was honored in the local paper for actually paying attention to things of that nature. And our senior deacon, Clint Parker, please introduce who you are with you today.
Thank you, Worshipful. I'm joined by my better half, Esmeralda, and appreciate all the time she lets me spend here at the lodge.
Pleasure. Please remain standing. And our chaplain, Christian Morano, past pastor.
Well, I have a few family members here today. I'll start with my parents. The mother Nieva is here in the audience. Stepdad Fleming, also a member of King David's Lodge. My mother-in-law, Carmen's right there, and my father-in-law, Worshipful Nelson Villagieras, a member of the Grand Lodge of the Philippines. And of course, I have my two boys there, Sebastian and Damian. And don't want to forget about my wife, Mara, who has supported me throughout the many years of serving this lodge. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Secretary.
Hey, Brown. My wife, Pat Brown, is here, and my son, former marshal, member of the law census, is here.
Thank you for that. And our junior warden, Bob Sachs.
I want to introduce my wife, Melanie, my beauty and my muse, and also two good friends. I say he's the oldest Masonic orphan at this point. Joseph Abrams, Dr. Joseph Abrams, is part of a Masonic family, and very honored to have him here, and his wife, Elizabeth.
Thank you for that. I think Dr. Abrams may be 99, if I'm not wrong, so we'll give him some applause just for that. The advent of technology, I believe Senior Warden Eric Fisher may have some family.
Worshipful Master, I have a modern American family. Our daughter is in Manhattan, our son is up at Berkeley, and my wife is a visiting professor at UC Riverside. But she's here on FaceTime.
Please don't remain standing, and then I'm pleased to introduce the one family member I have with me today is my girlfriend, Adrienne Catali. So please, you'll stand up. Thank you for being here. All right, brothers, please bring up to you. Thank you.
It's called vibration mode.
All right. Well, we're gonna, as I mentioned, I'm gonna move through this quickly because I'm not unaware of the fact that the Steelers and the Broncos are underway already, and I want to get you guys to it, the ones that are interested in that. But I want to point out that there's several things that we're going to accomplish in the lodge going forward. There are several things that I'm privileged to have gone through the line a couple of times already. It's not the first time that I've been in the master's chair. I followed Rush Carboni as the most worshipful Grand Master of Masons last year. I was senior warden under his tutelage. And he promoted several things that are bellwethers and benchmarks and standards for what we're going to continue to do in this lodge. And I'm privileged to say that these are not new initiatives. They're just continuing the good work that's been going on. We're going to continue to have meaningful candidate experiences. We're going to do excellent ritual in this lodge, at the same time bringing brand new crop of officers up. It's a privilege to have only 2 past masters in a line, and I include myself as one of those. God willing, I'll be the last multiple past master. But Christian Morano as well is sitting basically at the master's right hand. And sometimes different officers take this seat during the course of the ritual. So we have the guiding hand here, as well as Phil Mock over there as our officers coach and as past master as well. And we'll be introducing the past masters of this lodge in just a few minutes. But we're going to give all those young men opportunities to serve this chapter, or this lodge rather. We're going to have a member experience that's also going to continue to be meaningful. That ritual is going to be good not only for the candidates, but for those of us as officers that are conferring it, those that are on the sidelines enjoying it and learning from it every time that it's conferred. And the member experience is going to also be enhanced by the type of work we do here. That front entrance room off the elevator was a massive work a few years ago. A massive roof project just got completed this year. God willing, that Oculus right above your heads there, which is just this awesome symbol of masonry and the all-seeing eye. There's a lot of symbolism that comes from that light that shines down on that altar. And there's a little bit of work over above that to keep it from leaking. We'd like to make that a little less obtrusive. Those of us that sit here for hours and gaze upon it notice it perhaps more than you that are just coming in for the first time. But we'd like to see some work done on that. The sound functioning of the lodge is the last thing we're going to focus on, and to make sure that we continue to have the proper monies coming in to go out, not only to maintain the building, but also to our philanthropies that we love and cherish. We're going to manage our time, as I mentioned previously. And one of the indicators of that is I'm not going to spend a lot of time on introductions. Practically everybody in this room can be introduced in about 2 or 3 different categories. There's one thing that I have to do, and it's a pleasure for me to do, is to recognize the past masters of King David's Lodge. And I'm going to do that at this time. They are what I like to call the foundation upon which the superstructure of local masonry is erected. So all the past masters of King David's Lodge, I'd like to ask you to please stand right now. Christian is here. Philip, I see you over here. I'm going to go around the room, seeing you stand. See you there, Ron. See you, Anton, and Ian coming around. We're not going to let this make a mistake here. Nick Williams to serve. Peter, of course, Dave. Make sure I haven't missed anybody here. So if you would please introduce yourself and your year of service, please, Chris. Well, we know Christian.
Christian, 2015.
Absolutely.
Philip, 2011.
Jay and
Ron, 0809.
Good job.
Tony, 1994.
Ian?
Ian Hughes, gosh, I'm good.
Hey, we'll come back. Dick?
I'm Dick, 1981, 1986, my affiliation.
Yep, thank you.
Peter Champion, 2013.
David Chesbrough, 1995, 2003, 2004, and 2006.
And Robert Bencourt here, this last 2010, 2012, and happily 2016. Ian, go ahead.
84, 85.
All right, we're coming to the close here. I would point out that this symbol, there's a smallish emblem of it here. It's several places throughout the lodge. The square and the compass, they are symmetrical. They indicate to me balance. You have to have the fraternity, you have to have family. And so it's critical that we all, as we walk out of here, remember that this is a part of our lives, it's an important part of our lives, but it's not all of our lives. And I want you to also think about your family members. For us as a fraternity, we all have our wives and significant others. It's customary to present some bouquets to those members that are in the inner circle, if you will. So we're fortunate to have the past Grand Master, Junior Past Grand Master of Masons for the state of California. His lovely wife, Linda Schiavone, is here. I'm going to present her a bouquet. I'm going to present my young lady, Adriana, a bouquet, and then the past master, the junior past master of this life, Maranio, right? With a bouquet. So let me do that now. But give them one round of applause. right, so I think I've covered everything. There is remains for me to do one point of order, and that is, as the junior past master of King David's Lodge, Christian Marano has now earned the title of past master, and Grand Lodge has made a very nice gold colored card, actually very impressive for me to present to Christian G. Marano, King David's Lodge number 209, January 16, 2016, as the newest past master of King David's Lodge. Present that to you. I'm asking for any presentations, so yes, sir.
Would you present meet me at the level there?
I will be happy to do that.
You can see I spared no expense. I have an item in here that not new, I've just been warned. I want to point out to you that you as a past master, always since you served this once or twice before, as a past master, you've been there and done that, taking great pride in your accomplishments and being humbled by your embarrassments. Years ago, this collar and jewel were presented to me on a similar occasion. It had been tucked away for many, many years, and I find the time has now come to put it back to use. And so therefore, Brother Robert, I present it to you. It is now yours. I hope, wish for you a successful year, and thank you for allowing me this time.
First of all, Dick, it's an honor, thank you sincerely, and so as you were saying, humbled by your embarrassments, it embarrasses me to remind myself that I was supposed to recognize our inspector for the introductions of the grandparents. So thank you for that. Because you got to keep me humble, because I could go off, you know. So Worshipful Rod, would you please take care of the grand introductions that I,
Thank you, Worshipful Master. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It's my honor and pleasure to make a few introductions here. With us today, a past master of King David's Lodge in San Luis Obispo, most illustrious companion, David Chescro, past Grand Master of Cryptic Masons of California. Also a past master of King David's Lodge in San Luis Obispo, the right illustrious companion, Peter Champion, Grand Sentinel of the Grand Council of Cryptic Masons of California. And now it's my honor and pleasure to introduce from Woodland Hills, the past master of Wisdom Lodge number 202, the Junior Grand Warden, Right Worshipful Stuart A. Wright, and his wife, Julie.
Thank you, Worshipful Inspector. All right, well, you know we're volunteers, so we make mistakes every once in a while, but we do an awesome hors d'oeuvres and reception here. I can guarantee that. So we are at the culmination, so when I hit this gavel, we'll be done here, and I will ask the officers, first of all, to please go out to the entrance of the dining room. We're going to stand in order as a little receiving line, and then you all can come on out, shake our hands, and go in there and have some really awesome hors d'oeuvres and visit and socialize with us for the rest of the evening, or afternoon. Stay as long as you want. I love this building. It's built in 1913, 100-year-old building. I just could want to be these halls all day. So thank you very much for coming, and we're adjourned.